are causing severe injury to Jermaine himself. We discussed that with the state attorney's office and let them know that the seriousness of the charges need to match up to the gravity of the offense that happened that day. Finally, we discussed the mental and emotional toll this has taken on Jermaine and his family. Not only did he have to go through it that day, but he constantly has to rehash this event in his mind day in and day out. Even to today, he's having nightmares, he's having sleepless nights, and he's constantly having to get consoled by his parents, who you see here today. For those reasons, like Attorney Francis said, we will be filing a civil lawsuit, and we just hope that everybody understands that this cannot happen to young childs and communities anymore. From there, we'll take questions.
What are some of the charges that you would like to see brought against these individuals?
Well, we discussed certain charges with the state attorney's office today, and we're going to defer to them before we come out and express specific charges. The state attorney is on board that the seriousness of the event needs to be displayed by the magnitude of the charges that are brought forward. And we believe and we hope that those charges will be a deterrence to this happening in the future.
Do you think it should be labeled as a hate crime?
Regardless of race in this situation, we believe that this should not happen to any child. We believe that if it is a racial situation, that the state attorney's investigation will show that. But if it's not, if the evidence does not prove that, we believe that this is a 16-year-old who is going about his daily life, and regardless of what his color is, no group of adults should act this way towards a 16-year-old.
But do you believe race fueled this and factored into the reaction by these people?
Well, I mean, as Attorney Edwards says, we don't know that, but we're still gathering evidence. We've not begun the discovery process in a civil action, but this shouldn't happen to any 16-year-old. Shouldn't happen to any 16-year-old. It'll be up to public opinion whether it was a racial thing or not, but and a jury potentially one day. But this shouldn't happen to any 16-year-old. If they're speeding or they're breaking a traffic law, take down the license tag, call the police, get them involved. They're trained to deal with this type of situation. It should not be where there's some type of vigilante justice where they take the law into their own hands.
Is that something the state attorney's office is looking at, as the speeding through the neighborhood as maybe a factor to not push forward with accelerated charges?
I think the state, based upon our conversation, the state attorney is considering all the evidence. They are still in the process of gathering evidence. And they certainly are considering whether the charges need to be enhanced or not, based upon either on race or the fact that this was a child that was assaulted.
The third person that you said was brandishing a gun at the scene, did the state attorney know about that before y'all brought it up?
Yes, they did know about the third person. They found out about that person throughout their investigation, and they're currently investigating that situation as well to determine whether charges should be brought forward for that person.
Do you know if charges are pending at all? Or?
No, there's no charges pending from our communications with the state attorney, but that may change in the future.
Did we hear from the family about your thoughts about the meeting today? Jermaine, do you want to talk about how the meeting went?
Basically, they just asked me questions about the event, helped me explain like what's gonna happen in the future. But yeah, that's basically.
How are you feeling to be in the middle of all of this?
Well, I'm glad that it happened to me because somebody else might not have reacted the way I reacted, and it could have turned out a different way. But I feel like even though I might have been speeding, I don't think it gave them the right to do what they did and take it upon themselves to do something about it.
And your attorneys say that you've had nightmares, this is keeping you up at night. What is it that you're most concerned about?
That it could have went a different way, or that it can continue happening.
Do you mind, he was just saying that you were taking that video in part just because you feared for your safety and kind of felt like that was your only option at that point. Do you mind just elaborating on that?
Yeah, so before the video, I wasn't recording. I wasn't thinking about recording at the time. I was gonna record later, but my friend told me, Jermaine, watch out, he has a gun. And that's when I started fearing for my safety, and I pulled out my phone to record.
Do you feel that if it was a white teenager who had been speeding, that they would have reacted the same way to them as they did
I don't think so because, especially because the lady in the video, she told me that I was the one that would get a gun. She only said that because of the color of my skin. I don't think that if I was white, she would have even mentioned anything like that, because I didn't harm them. I didn't make any threats to them. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
I guess where do you go from here, I guess, at this point?
The arraignment is, from a criminal standpoint, the arraignment is on August 16th, I believe, where the formal charges will be presented and the defendants will have the opportunity to plea. The state attorney is continuing their investigation to see whether there are other individuals that should be charged, whether the charges currently should be enhanced or not. From a civil standpoint, we are in the very near future, probably before the end of the week, we'll be filing the civil lawsuit to begin that process as well.
Is this going to be on the county level, the civil lawsuit? Will it be a federal
Circuit.
lawsuit? Or?
No, it'll be a state court civil lawsuit.
And did the state attorney's office give you an indication on their timeline, or if they could be bringing more serious charges soon? Or
No definitive information on a timeline other than to say that, that was a decision that they anticipate making prior to their arraignment on August 16th.
What do you say to people out there who have seen this video, have seen what has happened, and these people think, they were just protecting their neighborhood, and they claim that it had nothing to do with race at all, but the video makes it appear to be another way. What is your advice to people out there who get mad at kids that may do similar things in their neighborhood, I guess? They take action on themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what is your advice, I guess, for people?
Sure. The advice is to call the police. That's what we pay taxes for, and that's who are here to protect us. Those are the individuals who've been trained to investigate and deal with these type of actions. If there's a speeding issue going on in the neighborhood, then certainly call the police, get the tag number, talk to the occupants of the house where the car went, and tell them, hey, this is an issue. But certainly never, regardless of race, never should a 16-year-old be driving in a car and someone throw a missile into the car, throw a rock into the car in an attempt to injure him.
I would also say to those people, what if this was your child? How would you want your child to be treated in that circumstance? And right now we have two parents standing behind us who have had to see that firsthand, and they're dealing with the effects of that. And it's caused some of the things that we've talked about today. So if you think about every child as your child, I think that will help you manage the situation better than these individuals did that day.
Mrs. Jones, are you would you be interested in speaking? Tell us how you feel about everything that's going on right now?
I'm really disgusted about the whole situation. These were adults who accosted a 16-year-old child. And if you listen to the 911 tape, he's the one who was de-escalating the situation. He's the one who acted as the adult in the situation. And it just saddens me. It makes me very sad that this could happen in this day and time.
How much do you think your son's skin tone played into this situation, if at all?
I think it may have played a factor in it. But regardless, I still feel like what they did was wrong. It doesn't matter what color anyone's skin is. The fact that there's a 16-year-old child, I just don't think it was right what they did.
And when you first saw that video, what was going through your mind when you were watching it for the first time?
I was very upset and angry. As a parent, our job is to protect our children, and the fact that I wasn't there to protect him, it's very upsetting. I'm just glad that things turned out okay.
You have a friend that lives in that neighborhood, is that right? Have you been back to the neighborhood to visit your friend, or what? Can you go back there, or do you feel afraid to go back there?
So yeah, basically, my friend that lives in that neighborhood, I've known him for years. I've been there for years. I haven't gone back since because I don't feel safe going back into that neighborhood, and I don't know if I'll be going back there anytime soon.
Can you talk about how it's been for your family since this
It's been very stressful. There's a lot of things we have to talk about, I guess. It affected us a lot. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot of stress.
And Jermaine, you admit you were speeding through the neighborhood. There are kids like you that do this probably all over Central Florida, the nation, that are speeding through neighborhoods or doing, things kids your age do. What advice do you have for those kids? Have you watched what you do in the car nowadays, or what?
Well, actually, I haven't even really drove since the incident, but I couldn't really give any advice because even though I wasn't supposed to be speeding, I don't think this should happen to anyone.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.